charity known as Carvel.org, which we registered a number of years ago. Unfortunately, we've not been joined tonight by one of the descendants of the Carvels. We've got plenty of descendants of the Martins, but not of the Carvels. And the Carvel descendants in Dublin, I'm going to have to do a separate session with them. But the reason I asked you to come along was I've got to a point of where the 4,900 pages in the Carvel papers, the Carvel papers are lying in these boxes in the State College of Pennsylvania Paterno Library. This is basically what they look like. There's a set of letter books, and if you saw me behind my screen earlier, you'll see it again. These are mortgages of ships owned by the Carvels, with details of the size, shape, etc. of them. In this box here, tucked in here are, I think it's 6 or 7 what are known as log books, but they're actually the school workbooks and diary of the daughter of John Carvel, and therefore a grand niece of John Martin. But the books are handwritten school books, but are accompanied by many watercolor images. So there are 4 books of them, and the images are beautiful. This is typical of it, and the stories are good. They would make a very good publication on their own. The books of Ruth, and some of the people online here tonight have assisted greatly in tracing the rest of Grace's, the rest of Ruth's life history. And we've all concluded that it would make the most wonderful book. But anyway, this is what the letter books look like internally. They are carbon copies, for want of a better word, of letters written by John Carvel, son of Francis Carvel, the great entrepreneur, written by John Carvel in the period of 1878 to 1927. The last page, some of you, our visitors, wouldn't maybe catch the humor of this particular thing, but we had a great comedian in Britain and Ireland here called Spike Milligan. Mm-hmm. When Spike Milligan died, he had his epitaph engraved on his grave, and it said the words, "I told you I was sick." Well, when you get into looking at the letter books of John Carvel, the very last letter in it says in 1927, "I'm going to see the doctor today." End of story. Just again. Anyway, some of you will be familiar that after discovering the books, which I discovered just by an online search by 2009, I went over, and that was me handling the books in the Paterno Library. I spent 5 whole days, from 9 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning to 6 in the evening, until they threw me out. Sometime later, it took several years, I agreed with the college that they would scan the documents, and I'll just share again the activity of scanning. I paid them approximately $10,800 for these students. I paid them McDonald's rate of $10 an hour to scan the documents.
Okay, Michael, this is a landscape version of our video. Again, showing the individuals who are scanning here for us, around this way. And they're all busy working on your project.
So you see what they did. They went through each book and page by page, and then
we're going into we call this the Better Light machine. As I described earlier, it is for larger items, more fragile items.
The result of that was that they transferred to me bit by bit 4,900 images. It has taken me quite a number of years to get to the stage we're at now. The man called Niall McShane on your screen, the fella in blue, that's waving his hands. He is a web designer, and I think I started off about 3 years ago asking him to create a website, show you our ambition first. Or I tell you what, Turlough, could you take over for a second there and put them on to Dear Mrs. Pennyman for a moment there, would you?
Yeah, not a problem.
So we just discovered this site today. It's called Dear Mrs. Pennyman. It's pretty similar to what we want to achieve. Turlough. Well, there's an example of what you can see. What we want to achieve is that this lady had a collection of letters, and the letter appears like this, but someone needs to be able to tell what the letter is and put in key points out of it. Now, in this particular case, they've done complete transcripts. Now, if it's a typewritten page like that, that's not difficult because it can easily be scanned, the typescript. But we're talking about the era before typewritten documents. What the ambition is to get our documents now to become searchable like this. And what I now want to do is to create the opportunity so that we can simply put all the letters in date order. Things that refer to Ruth, for example, or things that refer to the business can be found quickly and easily and grouped together. So, Turlough, if you just go back out and show like what they were doing there on this system, you can, these are all this person's letters, you see, and you can click by author. And her letters were coming from many different people. So these are the range of people that she was getting the letters from. In our case, we might put in addressees because most of the letters are going to be coming from Mr. or Mrs. Carville. Clear that the papers were held by Ruth until the 1960s, 50s or 60s. Can't remember it off my head at the moment. When she died in London, in a Mews house in Mayfair, and the papers were found their way in a house clearance of some type into a junk shop nearby, and a visiting professor from the State College had bought them and brought the 2 boxes back to Pennsylvania with him, thinking that he or one of his students were going to do a study of them. Now, that's only 35 or 40 years ago, and nobody's been really...
I was going to ask, how did they end up in America? Where was the connection? But it's just been a mistake. They ended up there, basically.
A mistake, but I tell you, they wouldn't let go of them again.
Yeah.
And the best compromise I could get to was I met one of them. They were over in Dublin playing an American football game in Croke Park, and I bought 6 tickets for the match to make sure I wouldn't miss them. And I got talking to the vice president of the college, and he said he'd go back and negotiate what he could. And 6 months later, he wrote to me and said, the best I can do is that the students will image them for you. So, right, now maybe better let you share the next bits, because I need to watch what you're doing. So now I'll show you where we're at. Right.
Can you see my screen at the moment?
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, Michael had sent me across the PDF documents, and for the website, we thought it would be best to have them as images. Just it'll be easier for us to work with. So we batch uploaded them to the website, and basically we have them catalogued into the different groupings and how they as to what book or box they belong to, and they've been dated. So that work's already done, and that's the way this menu system works. So we were able to get them all batch uploaded. And as speaking from you the other night, Michael, I now have these in the proper order for you.
Let's stick with Ruth for a minute, because they always look very. They always look the nice, simple, attractive part of it. No, Ruth's logs.
Ruth's logs here.
Number 1.
Yeah.
There's 6 logs, as she called them.
Okay.
That's what it looks like on the exterior. And
I,
this is,
I will pop into one of these for you.
yeah,
So what we have here is basically, this is what a visitor to the site will see would be the subject, the description, which is basically going to be this text. You'll see there now that whenever we scroll over it, we'll have a zoom feature on each of these so that if somebody is translating them, it's going to be easier for you when you're doing that. We also have the option to view them larger on the screen. If somebody wants to take a copy of that image with them,
they can
you
download it.
just download it directly as a JPEG file. Now, right,
See, the letter books,
find one that's
so on. The letter books typically start off with an index.
mhm.
All right, so the first few pages are an index of the letters, but it's not very well maintained, as I'm sure you could guess. After a few weeks, you get tired of filling in the index and you just keep writing the letters. But this is the nature of the way the letters are done. Sometimes there's 2 letters to the 1 page. All right.
Here.
And they can be rotated and cut, but we haven't gone through them yet to discover which ones are
Indeed.
going in the wrong direction, as one may call it. But others are full copies of letters and buying of goods or selling of goods, whatever. So that's a hefty one. I would
Yeah.
love to know what's in them all, but I've never taken the time to go through these things. So
Yeah.
our idea is that we have to find a way of getting that data in on the right-hand side. Now, there are some versions of computer systems which will scan various degrees of handwriting, but these ones are so varied, it's unlikely that any of that will work. And it's been mammoth job to think of transcribing, but if a description of them was provided in the boxes on the right hand side, just show what the box, what you call the box of folders. This was a heap of papers lying in the bottom of the box. See box 2 folders.
Yeah.
Right. These were bits of letterheadings, just lying in a heap. And I spent during that week I was there, I sorted them into some sort of order. Ones which were to do with stocks and shares. Then back up and show again there.
Yeah.
Go back to the top. What else was in that? There was a box. No. Still stay in the 2 folders there for a minute, just to get a flavour. Down to the lawyers' bills are very interesting. Up, 1 or 2, doesn't matter what you go into.
Yeah.
2 sets of lawyers' bills. Very, very well-known lawyer in the Newry area who dealt with all the big businesses, called R.M. Mullins. But what's interesting is, if you just hit on one of them now for a second, what's interesting on them is what you see is there's a lot of like what will turn out to be like genealogical information here, in that a lot of it deals with advising you in your relationship. Go down there of the Chamber of Commerce. That's a good interesting one there. Good interesting one for me. I need this catalogue quick. Keep going down there to see in attendance when you related to the prepared meeting of the Chamber of Commerce to discuss their action in the matter of, right? Very interesting business history. So, and these documents are unique. Like there's no other records around the whole area. You may have in landed gentry documents, stored in the records office and so on, but it's very rare to get, the legal advice given to an entire business by one of our lawyers. Now, go back up to that box thing again, up to the top there. And if you could just hold there for a second, I'm not going into them all, but you'll see that there's capital statements for the business. Again, a very important thing. Just go down to it. You see, this is literally the financial affairs of the business. Now, there's ones typed. They might be easier to deal with, but you'll see that go down to you'll see his you'll see his, yeah, it's like this one on the right here. Now, just stop there, one on the right.
Yep.
You'll see what the value of the business was in various years, in 1894 onwards. Terribly interesting information about his capital in the business, the capital of his brother. His brother would crop up many times during these documents. He was the person who ran the business into the ground, and this younger brother rescued the business with his mother. And then the older brother went off to be a barrister. Sorry, no, he already was a barrister. He went off and he became the MP for the area. So you'll see the correspondence back and forwards to him is very important. And the idea that we can have like a company balance sheet in 1894 and every year in and around that be fabulous information for commercial research. So now back to your things. That's basically, unless at this stage, does anybody want to ask any questions about what they've seen up to date? No, right. These have all been in enough historic repositories to know what we're looking at. Right now. But now wants to say is that we have been a bit presumptuous and we have assumed that you all might be interested volunteers, so we'll put your name in the back of the system. We're on the internet, and
it's Carville.org is the domain name that it would be.
Carville.org, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And any of us can
then,
look at it in a minute and look at stuff. But what we do
Yeah.
to become masters of it is we go Carville.org / or / admin. All right. And as soon as we
Admin.
hit that, sorry. Yes, Maud.
Sorry, carville.org/.
Admin.
Admin. You'll be an administrator. ADMIN.
I didn't hear you. ADMIN. Yeah, okay.
Right. Okay. Now, once one
That takes us to the screen to log in. We can
All
do
right.
that.
That's the best place to start. But what I see and I'll see is users. Like click on all users. Right. To see you. Right.
All
Now,
right. Thanks, Michael.
you see what we've done the other night was we put everyone in with their email address and have made them all become contributors. Log out and go in as a user. So it now makes sense to everybody that if they were to come in, they're already authorized into this system as a
Contributor.
user. Yeah.
That information. Don't be rushing me, Mega. Slow down, you said.
No, I tell you what, I'm between anxiety but getting it all done and not making it look too technical. Just to get me reassured that how it's been looked after. So if each one of them went in,
So the only thing really that you have to look at in here, you don't even have to look in here, is if you go into posts, you'll see these will be the posts that have been assigned.
Different people, yeah.
Yeah, that Michael will have assigned to a certain section, possibly a few documents for somebody to have a look at, possibly translate, but you will only ever see the documents there that have been assigned to you. So you don't really need to work from the back end here. It's basically where you want to look at is from the front end. So once you've signed into the website, it's the front end where you would be doing. Go in here to one. Okay. Yeah.
When you said Michael allocate, no. Michael's waiting for volunteers to say, give me 5 of them, give me 10 of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a conversation for you to have. So when you're logged in, what you'd see here is basically where it was text beforehand, you now have the option to put in the subject, okay, and the description. Well, that should basically be translation, Michael, sure.
It's very hard to translate all that. It's
yeah.
This is the hardest one I've seen.
Right. Do you want to go into an easier looking one?
Yeah.
Go into The letter
type.
book.
if you're going to do, if you're going to do one now that's, well, the indexes are hardly worthwhile giving out except
Yeah,
we might at the end. Okay, everybody loved the one. Everybody loved doing Ruth's. Yeah.
yeah.
What that's
So
telling us is that that's an essay. So what do you do now? How do you?
yeah. So basically, when we uploaded these documents, we needed to give them a subject. So I was just grabbing the image number itself, but we also have a field down here for image number. So the title or the subject will now become basically what is the letter about, or what is this form about, just in the descriptive manner, because this is what's going to be used for the search. We have the subject. The description itself would then be the translation of the document.
Either by trying to transcribe it or to pick out the headlines of it. Now,
Yeah.
now you said something that sounded disappointing to me. You said this is what the search would be. I thought the search would find everything. Well, it was in.
We haven't got there yet, Mega. Don't
Oh,
rush me.
right.
So the description as well, the search will filter through whatever this translation is, as well as the title. And then, as there's said, July 24th. Now, I'm sure this cover of this book would probably have the year on it then.
Well, the image title already has a year of it, 1902,
There you go, 1902.
and then you can type away whatever date it is.
Was that 1902, wasn't it?
Aye,
Yes.
1902.
1902.
All right. Okay.
And if, yeah,
Well, as this is not a letter, we're not going to have an addressee in it.
Yeah.
So the bit down the bottom is only going to matter whenever we come across a letter. Right? So you wouldn't fill those bottom ones in. There's nothing to put in there. What you do is you go back up into the other one and go back to the title part there. And then the subject part of it, you would say, you know, Ruth's log. Is there a page number? It must be page number 4. Yeah. You just say Ruth. You see the image number 004. You just use that there.
Yeah.
You say Ruth's log, essay must be right. Ruth's log.
Page 4.
you know, something similar sentence on what the letter, the gist of the letter, if you know what I mean.
If I were doing that one there, what I'd be saying is what you call description. I'd be saying keywords, and I'd be typing in Woolcott, all right, Woolcott, Euston, Park, Euston again, Gartlands, and what I'd be doing is Holyhead, Evelyn, Gerald, what's the bit at the bottom? Rill Farm. Roddy, you're embarking on a similar project and your knowledge of archivism, etc. What would you put in here?
I think, well, I just need to start my video. I think it'd be a good idea at this point if, Niall, could you bring up the PRONA catalog on the screen? So if you go to, see where it says PRONA reference down at the bottom down there?
Yep.
Right, if you just type in, which is, it's D623/D
Okay,
/1/20/1.
yeah, okay. Strabane fields divided in difference.
Okay, so if you open that up,
Okay,
what you
got
see
it.
here is you get the collection is the D623, right, which is the Abercorn Estate Papers, but the description down the bottom there, Strabane fields divided into different classes according to value. So if that were a letter, it would give you, for instance, in the title, letter from James Hamilton to the Duke of Abercorn or whatever. In this, it's giving you, you can see there where the date is listed below as a separate item. You've got a title, which in this case is simply just repeating something which is in the description.
Yeah.
Some of these items have been transcribed at length, and they were simply lifted from old calendars that had been created in the 70s and 80s. So you get longer sections in the description. Some of them are just short like this, but that's normally sufficient. If you go into to do the search, if you go back, for instance, to the search, right, and take D623, take that out entirely. Okay, and just simply put in Carville in the top one, and then go to search. Right, if you hit the first one there at the top, where it says more, that's a better description. Okay, so you've got a fraud case, and then down below, then it gives you a little bit more information. Now you're not getting the full description, and this doesn't take you through to an image. Or rather, your title should only be 8 to 10 words in length, and then your description is where you can put in the more detailed account. In some cases, that'll be a full transcription of a document. And in other cases, it'll just be a synopsis of it. So it'll give you, as Michael was saying there, it won't quite just pick out keywords, but it'll give you a summarized version of what's contained in that document.
If I was doing for my own use, I'd just put in all the unique words in it. So let's go back and look at a couple of letters and see, or one letter at least, to see what it would be like putting in a letter as compared to this, because we've got a different challenge with the letters, which is that now you see there typically what's going on there is, see, go to the one at the top now.
Yeah.
Right. The one called O2 letter book. Now, what we have to do, we have to tackle the problem here, which is that's been scanned vertically as opposed to horizontally.
Yep.
Right. So
I can show you this.
I don't think it's going to be feasible for any of us to stop to try to fix that. So I had a very crude idea in my head, which was that the contributor simply put into the description there needs rotated.
Yeah, well, I'm going to actually add a wee form into the bottom of this, Michael. It says a tick box. It says needs rotated or split.
Okay, right, but you haven't that ready yet, Lee.
No.
Right, and why did you put it into the bottom?
Well, it can go anywhere. It can go anywhere.
Well,
You can set it at the very
think-
top.
I think it should go at the top.
Right?
Because you can see it, you can see that it's rotated. You don't have to go to the bottom to see that it's rotated. Right, so let them see the other problem there, which way?
I think there's 2 letters been put on the one as well, though.
Well, I'm going to suggest an idea is that you don't need to say that it's rotated and to be split. It'll be obvious if it's been rotated, whoever rotates it can split it. Fixed.
Yeah, needs fixed. Technical.
Some simple thing like it needs fixed.
It's not right.
Right. Now, I would think that the very most useful thing, if anybody wanted to help at the beginning, was just simply to look at images and tick the ones that needed fixed before we went any further.
I'd put that in just up at the top here, Michael.
Yeah. And that way then, basically what would need now is it needed to email me or you, me or Torla, to say go in and fix that. And then, because I don't want everybody else getting sucked into it, but we don't know which ones need fixed yet. That's how primitive we are at the minute. And that's the first level of assistance to be looked at and says, oh, there's another one the wrong way around. So
Michael, it's quite a lot because I went through them all when you sent me the details in November. I started to look at them all to see what was. There's quite a lot that are all need to be reversed around.
well, what I would do it this way. We don't do the letter books initially until somebody or each of us looks through it and takes one and say, oh, that needs fixed, that needs fixed. When we get them fixed, then we come back and we do the letter books then. All right. So confine ourselves. Is
Last.
that a good idea?
Yeah, leave the letter books to the last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they need to be looked at to see which ones need fixed. And out of it, we're going to end up with 5,000 documents instead of 4,900, because so many of the pages will be, Maud has said, there's that many, we're going to have them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Now, find us a proper, simple one-page letter there. We'll have a look. And I'm conscious of time, everybody. It's 5 to 9. I don't want to keep us any much longer. So, because all the people on the other side of the Atlantic will be falling asleep shortly.
You're fine,
it's just-
Michael.
It's just our lunchtime.
Yeah.
It's our bedtime.
There. That's an ordinary upright letter, right? It's got a date on it. Okay. So
That's a business letter.
the 1st of the 6th, 1903, it looks like.
Three, yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
A
It's Mark.
return check, £31, £2, 10 pence.
That doesn't say John Martin now, does it? Go down to the next line. What's that, Martin? Is that John?
I think it might.
Looks like
Oh,
it.
it just
Yeah.
looks like Let Martin.
It's what?
It's like Let.
Could be Mr. Martin.
Mr. Martin.
Mr.
Mm,
Mr. Martin?
Yeah, read
No, it looks like
it.
Let. to me.
Mr. Martin,
Grania. Is it
Signature.
Grania?
special, the
Requires a signature. Is that signature?
requires the signature. I forgot to tease all these or tempt all these people, Martin connections. There's a whole file in here, you know, about John Martin, lunatic John Martin, you know.
I know which one. It's not the John Martin that's honest John Martin. It's Robert Martin's son was lunatic John Martin, and Robert Martin's other son was lunatic Robert Martin. There's two of them. Robert Martin Sr. was the brother of honest John Martin.
Yeah,
So these are honest John Martin's two nephews
nephews, yeah,
that
well-
grew in Kilbrony House in Ross Trevor.
correct. The papers to do with them must be in one of the folders. Anyway.
I would be very interested in those. I just have received almost all, I think, of the records from Crichton House in, is it Crichton? I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, in Scotland. Where Robert Martin Jr., Bobby Martin, was put with his insanity.
Right. So yeah, good. I'm going to show you it in a second. I hope if I can remember what file it's in. But that's the kind of thing that'll be simple one to do by comparison, because it'll have an addressee, we hope. Tonight was about showing what's there and giving everybody the opportunity to run away and
No.
and to think about it and say,
Comment.
yes, I think I could do that. After this meeting we'll send out the passwords, which will be a reminder to say, oh, I could log on in now. And when the password's done, before we send out the passwords, we'll just do some sort of rough allocation of saying, there's one log to you, one log to you, one log to you, whatever. Let's look at tackling Ruth's stuff first because it's enjoyable. Then we'll send out the passwords. And at that stage, if you don't touch anything, we'll know you've never touched it. And if you do touch something, we'll know which ones have been amended. Is that a good way of volunteering?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine, Michael.
Yep.
I would make a suggestion, just for a person who does a lot of research online,
Yes.
that perhaps in the subject line, you always write Ruth M. Carville or John Carville or PG, is it PG?
Patrick George, yeah, Patrick George.
Carville, Elizabeth Carville, instead of Mr. Carville, Mrs. Carville,
Oh, yeah. Good.
or
good,
Ruth's log,
good. Yeah. I would.
Okay, full name.
full name.
Mhm.
Good. Right.
Yeah.
Well, is that enough for everybody for one day?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So,
Michael, would you like me to ask? I know a history teacher that's retired. She might be interested in joining the group.
yes, anybody, that sounds perfect. Somebody with a sense of history, they know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And
Lil-
Yeah.
I would like to have a go at the business papers, Michael.
Oh, good, Maud. Yeah, the company accounts.
Yeah, no, the whole, yeah, the business ones, all the letters from Carville's regarding, I was having a look at them the other day regarding, you know, all his creditors, all the people he dealt with, everything to do with that.
Yeah,
business.
yeah, yeah. There's an interesting little story. You see, this brother Patrick George ran a worldwide business into the ground in the 1870s,
Right.
and they went broke. And the mother and the younger son, who was only 25 at the time, John. John was born a few months after his own father died. This is where Francis had you'd see all these sons died, and it, you know, well, there's a son died when he was 32. There's a son died the year of his birth. There's another son died when he's 29, something like that. So this ends up, this fellow Patrick George ends up the leader of the house, and this girl dies young as well. And there's Margaret dies within the year. There's another Margaret dies the following year. Then this Joseph Thomas, he's born in 1849. Then Frank dies in 1854, and this one's born in 1854. He marries Elizabeth Martin. They have one daughter called Ruth, and the line dies out. But there's another line of brothers down here, some of whom are in Nova Scotia. And there's a wealthy leg of the family over here in Nova Scotia. I haven't plotted it here. And there's a William at this level up here who built a great deal of the part of South Dublin, and his ancestors are still living in Dublin. This man's line, I didn't bother following it down any further either, because this Patrick George, there's a lot of interesting information going to show up here about his affairs, his bankruptcy, and his financial movements